Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're not just looking back at the world of aviation, we're actually taking a full 2-month plunge, July and August of 2025. You might notice we're combining our usual monthly updates, and, well, there's a good reason for it.
That's right, yeah. By bringing July and August together, it gives us a much better chance to, connect the dots, see some of those powerful, longer-term trends emerging.
Okay.
Think of it as pulling back the curtain on an industry in a fascinating, sometimes difficult tug of war, pushing innovation while constantly battling risks and external pressures.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So our mission today is really to sift through the most critical developments. We're talking tragic incidents that remind us of the stakes involved, but also groundbreaking tech that's reshaping things.
Right.
And market shifts, major infrastructure pushes across the globe. We've got quite a stack of sources here. The idea is, by the end of this, you'll be really well informed on the big shifts and maybe the quiet revolutions happening.
Exactly. We'll be zeroing in on how safety measures are evolving, maybe becoming more proactive. Also, the undeniable impact of new tech on everything from, say, ground ops to the passenger experience itself. And, of course, that ever-shifting competition between the big manufacturers, plus some really ambitious investments in global aviation infrastructure. It's a snapshot of an industry that's rarely standing still.
You know, it feels like we often have to start with the sobering reality when we talk aviation. And July was tragically marked by 3 significant crashes, each one distinct, each with painful lessons. It's just a stark reminder.
It really is.
First, we had that devastating Air India 787 night Dreamliner incident in Ahmedabad. The aircraft crashed into a college hostel. 19 fatalities, numerous injuries. Just terrible.
And the preliminary findings? Quite specific, weren't they?
Yeah, they pointed to a critical error. Both engines reportedly lost thrust shortly after takeoff because of the fuel control switches,
Yeah.
while they accidentally moved from a run to cutoff,
Wow.
effectively like hitting the emergency stop on both engines midair.
Yeah.
That's, hard to fathom.
Then July 21st, a Bangladesh Air Force fighter jet, a Chengdu FT-7 BGI, crashed into a school campus in Dhaka.
Oh, no.
Tragically, at least 36 lives lost on the ground, dozens injured. Reports indicated the pilot actually made a heroic attempt to steer away from the most populated areas.
So mechanical fault suspected there?
Initial investigations suggest that, yes, a mechanical fault.
Okay.
And as if that wasn't enough for 1 month. July also saw Angara Airlines Flight 2311, an Antonov An-24 RV crash near Tinda in Russia.
Right, I remember reading about that one.
These happened during its second landing attempt. Visibility was incredibly poor. All 48 souls aboard perished.
48. And the cause?
Reported cause was an altimeter pressure reference system error, which, in poor visibility like that, and it's absolutely critical for telling the pilots their actual altitude.
Absolutely critical. These incidents, they are indeed tragic individually,
Yeah.
but when you look at them together, it's not just about individual failures, is it?
How do you mean? Well, these seemingly different events, maybe human factors in the Air India case,
Yeah.
mechanical in the jet, a system error in the Antonov, they point to a potential vulnerability in the integration of these really complex systems.
The integration.
Yeah. The industry's real challenge isn't just fixing one specific problem, it's understanding how failures can cascade across human, mechanical, digital interfaces. It's the interplay.
That's a crucial insight. So it's not just about preventing a single type of event, but building resilience into the whole ecosystem.
Exactly.
So given that, what's the biggest blind spot the industry might still have in its, relentless focus on safety, especially when we see such varied causes like these?
That's a tough question. I think maybe the biggest challenge, maybe not a blind spot, but an ongoing challenge, is managing the sheer volume of data and ensuring lessons learned from one type of incident, say manufacturing, truly get integrated across pilot training or air traffic control.
Right, breaking down silos.
Precisely. It's not just about collecting reports. It's about predictive analysis, adapting fast enough to prevent the next unforeseen scenario. Each tragedy, however awful, provides a painful lesson, pushing that evolution.
But, okay, it wasn't all somber news in July. There were also some really exciting developments on the technology front. Sustainability, passenger experience. It shows that dual focus.
Definitely. A lot happening there.
On the ground, for instance, we saw strides in what they call green ground operations.
Yeah.
Trials of the hybrid electric taxibot tug. That's part of Airbus's Project Heron.
Ah, yes, the taxi bot.
This tug moves planes on the tarmac without using their own engines. Big fuel savings, fewer emissions during taxiing. They trialed it at places like Schiphol and looking at major hubs like JFK, Charles de Gaulle, Brussels, New Delhi.
That makes a lot of sense. Taxiing burns a surprising amount of fuel.
And that push for efficiency, it's not just on the tarmac, it's also changing how we interact with airlines. Lufthansa, for example, they unveiled Swifty.
Swifties, the AI assistant.
Yeah, generative AI booking assistant for their Swiss airline. I'm genuinely curious, how is an AI like Swifty really transforming things beyond just speed?
Yeah,
Is it a qualitative shift? Better problem solving, maybe?
that's a great question. Because it is more than just speed. I think the striking element is the potential for personalization and predictive assistance.
Okay.
Swifty isn't just a basic chatbot. It learns, it anticipates needs, handles complex itineraries, hopefully reducing the frustration we all feel with rigid, menu-driven customer service sometimes.
Tell me about it.
Right. And it potentially frees up human agents for the really complex, empathetic issues. That's a definite qualitative shift, I'd say.
As a frequent traveler myself, anything that cuts stress is a win. And speaking of stress reduction, Apple rolled out a smart boarding pass upgrade in Wallet.
Oh, interesting. What does that do?
Well, it's not just a digital pass anymore. It offers real-time flight updates, which is great, but also navigation within complex airport terminals.
Oh, that's handy.
Isn't it? I can't count the times I've sprinted through an airport only to find I was heading to the wrong gate cluster. And it even offers baggage tracking. This genuinely sounds like a potential game changer for travel anxiety.
It absolutely does. And what's compelling here, I think, is how technology is tackling both the big picture environmental concerns, like Project Heron, and at the same time, hyper-focusing on the individual passenger.
Right.
With tools like Swifty and this Apple Wallet upgrade, these aren't just tiny tweaks. They're laying groundwork for more sustainable, efficient, and crucially, seamlessly connected travel, moving beyond just booking a flight to managing the whole journey.
Okay, so beyond the headlines and the tech, let's look at the underlying economics. July showed pretty strong activity. Seems the industry's recovery is continuing quite robustly.
Yeah, the numbers were looking pretty solid.
Looking at aircraft deliveries, Airbus again outpaced Boeing in July. Reportedly handed over 67 new planes compared to Boeing's 48.
Airbus is pushing hard for that 2025 target, aren't they?
They are.
Yeah.
820 aircraft for the year. They'll need to significantly boost their pace in the coming months to hit that.
A big ask.
Definitely. And global passenger and cargo demand also saw healthy growth. IATA reported a 4% year-over-year increase in passenger demand. That's RPKs, revenue passenger kilometers, for July.
4%.
Capacity was up slightly more, 4.4%, leading to an impressive global load factor of 85.5%.
That's quite full.
It is. International travel grew strongly, 5.3%. Domestic was a bit slower, 1.9% rise. And on the cargo side, global demand climbed a solid 5.5%. Asia-Pacific leading the charge there with 11.1% regional growth.
Asia-Pacific really driving cargo. Interesting.
And one more positive note for the airlines. Fuel prices were lower than a year ago. That definitely eases operational costs, helps the bottom line.
Yeah, that fuel price point is always critical. So this data, it really paints a picture of a robust recovering industry. Shows its resilience, even with those safety incidents we discussed earlier. The higher load factors, rising demand, lower fuel prices. It suggests a healthier financial environment. But the crucial challenge becomes, how sustainable is this pace, especially for the manufacturers?
Good point.
Is constant competition between Airbus and Boeing, fulfilling orders, innovating, it shapes the future fleet, but it really tests those supply chains. It's an underlying tension.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit from market dynamics back to safety, but looking forward. Moving into August, safety remained top priority, but maybe with more of a shift towards future-proofing. Proactive compliance.
Yeah, it seemed less reactive, more about anticipating.
Southwest Airlines, for instance. They started deploying Boeing 737 MAX 8s with a secondary cockpit barrier already installed.
Ah, ahead of the deadline.
Exactly. 5 months before the July 2026 FAA deadline for new jets. That feels like more than just ticking a box. It's proactive security, building confidence.
There's a strong safety culture, going beyond the minimum.
And the FAA and Boeing were also deep in safety planning talks. The FAA plans to conduct these tabletop exercises, basically scenario-based safety planning with Boeing.
This is linked to the MAX production cap, right?
Yes, precisely. It's ahead of potentially lifting that 38 aircraft per month cap on 737 and MAX production. They aim to wrap these exercises up by end of September, making sure any production increase doesn't compromise safety oversight.
Right. Those proactive steps from both an airline like Southwest and the regulators, they're absolutely critical. Southwest's early adoption, as you said, shows commitment beyond just compliance.
Hmm.
And the FAA's tabletop exercises with Boeing, well, they show a rigorous scenario-based approach, trying to manage production and safety at scale, especially given, past challenges.
Definitely learning from the past.
One has to wonder, though, are these exercises enough to truly stress test the system, or do they sometimes miss the unpredictable human element you get in a real-world scenario?
That's a fair point. Tabletop exercises are great for finding systemic weaknesses, but yeah, nothing truly replicates live pressure. Still, it's a step towards building stronger, more resilient systems, hopefully.
Agreed. A necessary step.
But even with all that planning, the real world always throws curveballs.
Yeah.
August saw its share of operational disruptions that really tested the industry's resilience.
Always something.
Newark Liberty International Airport, for example. Major flight delays on August 28th. Air traffic control communications failure.
Ouch. That causes
Big
chaos.
time. It reduced landing capacity, caused 2-hour delays for tons of flights, and it really underscored the ongoing delays in getting modern ATC systems like STARS fully implemented across the U.S.
The standard terminal automation replacement system.
Yeah, implementation delays have been a recurring theme. It shows how vulnerable even advanced systems can be.
It really does. And on a different note, the Indian DGCA, that's the Directorate General of Civil Aviation, they granted Indigo a 6-month extension.
An extension for what? To keep leasing 2 Boeing 777s from Turkish Airlines until February 2026. This directly helps Indigo cope with route disruptions caused by Pakistan's ongoing airspace ban.
Ah, so a geopolitical impact needing an operational workaround.
Exactly. It shows how those external factors ripple through, and airlines need to be incredibly adaptable.
The Newark incident and Indigo's situation, they really highlight 2 key things. One, the fragility of critical infrastructure, even advanced systems. And 2, the adaptable, often complex maneuvering required in international operations just to maintain service when facing external pressures like airspace closures.
You're right.
But here's where it gets interesting. These aren't just isolated problems, are they? They represent a global challenge of building resilience, whether it's dealing with aging infrastructure, complex supply chains, or navigating tricky geopolitics.
It's the whole ecosystem.
The whole aviation ecosystem has to be able to bend, not break under pressure.
That makes perfect sense. Operational agility is just as key as technical capability. Okay, so finally, August also gave us a fascinating glimpse into strategic moves and long-term infrastructure investment, really painting a picture of where the industry might be heading.
Some future gazing, perhaps?
A little bit. There were strategy discussions between Spirit Aviation, remember they're recovering from bankruptcy, and Frontier Group leadership.
Interesting pairing. Merger talks.
Apparently not. They clarified it wasn't about acquisition. More focused on broad industry conditions, navigating the competitive landscape in what's still a pretty volatile market.
Okay, so positioning, not purchasing.
It seems so. Meanwhile, Airbus continues to hold strong in the single-aisle sector. That's a huge part of the global fleet, of course.
The A320 family effect.
Absolutely. They boast an impressive 72% delivery share in that segment, 61% backlog, mostly thanks to the A320 family's success. But even with that dominance, challenges are definitely on their radar.
Like supply chains.
Persistent supply chain issues,
Yeah.
increasing pressure to cut carbon emissions, and the expectation of radical new tech hitting the market by 2030. They know they can't stand still.
Always the next thing.
Always. And speaking of looking forward, India saw some significant initiatives. Odisha State launched its BMAM initiative.
BMAN. Tell me more.
It's a really comprehensive plan for regional connectivity. It involves converting unused airstrips into working airports, building new heliports,
That's ambitious.
and creating a cadet pilot program with a specific focus on training tribal girls. Plus, they signed on airworks for an MRO maintenance repair overhaul center in Bhubaneswar. The whole goal is boosting local skills and aviation access.
That's fascinating. Integrating social development right into aviation growth, training local talent, especially focusing on underserved groups like tribal girls, that's quite innovative.
Isn't it? And in a similar vein, the Kerala Aviation Summit brought stakeholders together. They prioritized airport infrastructure, sustainable practices, strengthening international links.
Trying to become a hub.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The ambition is to establish Kerala as a major travel and logistics hub, leveraging its location.
It's really compelling to see that global perspective on growth, from airline strategy talks and manufacturing dominance. To these huge regional infrastructure projects in India, it shows such a multifaceted approach to aviation's future.
Yeah.
And that BMAN initiative in Odisha, it's a particularly interesting model, integrating social development, local empowerment, focusing on local talent, connecting underserved areas. It's a holistic view of progress, something other regions could potentially learn from, I think.
So taking it all in, July and August together, what's the big picture that emerges from all these, frankly, quite diverse developments?
Well, when you connect all those threads, these 2 months paint a truly comprehensive picture. An industry in constant dynamic evolution. We saw the critical, ever-present need for vigilance and safety underlined by those tragic incidents. But that contrasts sharply with the acceleration of innovation, green tech, passenger experience enhancements. We see an industry navigating robust demand, but also significant supply chain
Oh,
pressures.
that tension again.
Exactly. Alongside airlines repositioning themselves strategically in these ambitious regional infrastructure growth plans, it's an industry dealing with the now intensely while also planning for a really complex future.
It really is that blend, isn't it? Immediate operational demands versus long-term strategic goals.
Yeah.
Managing disruptions, increasing deliveries, sustainable tech, enhanced security, developing new regional hubs. It's clear aviation is never, ever standing still.
No, never. And this deep dive, I think it reveals an industry constantly balancing the immediate with the aspirational. The integration of AI and customer service, that push for greener ground ops, the focus on regional connectivity and pilot training, these are powerful converging trends. They're going to profoundly shape how we travel and connect globally in the years ahead.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting thinking about all that. Given these advancements, the AI assistants like Swifty, the smart boarding passes, sustainable ground ops, even those new pilot training programs focusing on local talent.
Yeah.
What do you think the average travel experience will actually look like in, say, 5 to 10 years? Will it be uniformly faster, smoother, more connected? Or could new challenges emerge, maybe creating new divides in access or experience that we haven't even really considered yet? Something to ponder, maybe.
That is something to ponder. Will technology be the great equalizer, or will it create new tiers of travel experience?
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into July and August 2025's aviation landscape. We hope you feel a little more well-informed and maybe, yeah, a little excited or thoughtful about what's next.
Always plenty to track. We'll be back next month to continue the exploration.
See you next month for another deep dive.